Gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone here today. Everyone that's in the virtual world with us today, thank you for coming. Our first item on our agenda today is the invocation. Pastor Lee Farmer, will you be so kind, sir?
Thank you for the privilege. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessings of the opportunity that we have to be in part of such a special community. And tonight, Lord, as we gather here in this moment, I lift up prayers for our Board of Supervisors. I pray that you will give them wisdom, and as they make decisions, they will do so with compassion, mercy, and love. I pray all this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Pledge allegiance. Would everyone stand, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Move that we approve.
All right, got a motion to approve. To have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. Next, gentlemen, we have the approval of the minutes. We have our February the 13th, 2025 regular board meeting. Hope y'all have had time to review the minutes and see any corrections into them. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right. Motion.
And second? Second.
All right. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? All right. Next would be our presentations. Our first is Steve Mathiasen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. I'm coming here to you today with the Indian Creek Yacht and Country Club. We've been working with them since July of 2024. And what they're going to introduce to you is the project that they're coming with, excuse me, which is the American Junior Golf Association Golf Championship in June of this year. It's got great potential for Northumberland County as well as Lancaster County. A couple of things that I want to highlight is the fact that the potential here is incredible. It's not just for this year, there's also the ability or opportunity this could occur for next year in 2027. With that, I'll introduce you Steve Mathiasen, and he's one of the board members for Indian Creek Yacht and Country Club. Steve?
So, as Bob was sharing with you, we're hosting a tournament this June 22nd to 26th at Indian Creek Yacht and Country Club. It is an American Junior Golf Association tournament, and just to provide a little background first, in the days when I played sports in high school, the recruiting for colleges was at the high school, the district, regional, or state tournaments. Everything's evolved and sports have become so specialized now that there are groups like the American Junior Golf Association, in this case golf, where the recruiting for colleges is done at the tournaments that they host, just like travel soccer, Babe Ruth baseball. There are different programs to help these players compete at a high level, and they have to travel. In this case, the American Junior Golf Association hosts about 140 tournaments around the country every year. It brings in the best golfers around the country. In this case, the ages are age 12 to 15. And for any of you golfers, the average handicap is a 2. So these are exceptional golfers. If you look at the professional ranks from Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, Lexi Thompson, you go through the list of all the top professional golfers, they all came through the AJGA, or the American Junior Golf Association. There have only been a couple of them in Virginia in recent years. And our new pro, Andrew Giese, who's here with me tonight, he was new last year and a half ago, really wanted to bring one of those tournaments here. So we were successful in getting it approved at Indian Creek, so it is going to happen. It is not just a neat opportunity to see some of these young golfers, but there, on the first round, there will be 90-some golfers competing for the play-in. At 12 to 15 years old, none of them are driving here. They're coming with their parents, maybe siblings, so they need places to stay, which is probably one of the greatest challenges in a rural area like we have. But that brings money for several days of this tournament to our communities. They also will need to go out and eat. They might go explore our area. It puts a spotlight on the Northern Neck, which is awesome. It puts a spotlight on Indian Creek, which is really cool too. So there is an economic benefit to the community. One of the metrics that we have decided as with the committee that I'm the co-chair on is getting the youth involved. Again, this is a rare opportunity in Virginia. We're in a rural area. How many times does a high school golfer from our area have an opportunity in their neighborhood to come and play with? And so we have a junior am, which is a fundraising round, but we can include, and already are starting to get some players from our local high schools to play in this junior am, where they get to play with one of the competing players. It might be intimidating for some of them because, again, a handicap of 2 is pretty darn good, but it gives them someone to aspire to and emulate and work towards. So it is a neat opportunity at many different levels. I would share with you that we are still raising money for this. We have enough to host it. So anybody that might want to donate, we welcome any donations from anybody. What's kind of unique about the way the AJGA does this is we're hosting it. None of the money goes to Indian Creek. Every dime goes to the American Junior Golf Association Foundation. They will help reimburse Indian Creek for some of the basic costs, but it's not a profit center that Indian Creek has with this. It's offsetting costs. So using round numbers, if we raise $65,000 and it costs $35,000 to offset expenses for the club, then that leaves $30,000 left after all said and done. Half of that money goes to the American Junior Golf Association, or the American Junior Golf Association Foundation. The other half, we get to decide where it goes. So it can be the Boys and Girls Club, it could be the YMCA, it could be the high school golf teams that help contribute to make this a success. So it's a neat opportunity to have money come back into our community, even after driving an economic benefit for all of us and bringing our youth involved. Where I met Bob the first time was at the Boys and Girls Club, where Andrew has committed to do some clinics with some of the younger local kids. They have a gymnasium where they can put up nets and are able to go through some clinics to help get them involved and see what the game of golf is all about. So it is a really neat opportunity. We're also, another way some of the money is generated that goes into the AJGA is sponsoring a hole. For any of you that have played in a golf tournament, you can, if you run a business, you can get your business name at each hole. And for $250, you get that advertising, and then later it'll be in print where we're thanking all the sponsors and people that help support us. So there are a lot of layers to this, but we have some great momentum and great interest from our community so far. So I appreciate the opportunity to come here and share this with you as well. And I'm going to pause there and see if Andrew has anything he wants to contribute. He was not able to make it initially, but then made it work. So sure, I'll let Andrew step in and offer some thoughts.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for letting us talk about this. I've had a relationship with the American Junior Golf Association for quite a few years. I think this is going to be my 4th year running an event with them. I was from Pennsylvania. I moved down here to work as a golf pro at Indian Creek. This is truly an international field. We had players from all over the world in my last life having these tournaments. And it was just such an incredible thing to see these families come to town. We worked with local agencies and local businesses to try to push their business for the week of, because we do have an element of a qualifier, which is a one-day event, and in that one-day event, not everyone stays. So we could see 140 families in town that have never been to the area, and in a small town like we live in now, it's an absolutely awesome opportunity to be able to show off our area. Since I've moved down here, I absolutely love it, and it's very beautiful, and I can't wait to show this to all these people that travel throughout their year. The level of play is very good, as some of you may know. Tiger Woods is one of the players that came through the AJGA, so that is a household name and so many other players that come from this organization. And in my past life, I saw players that ended up playing in some incredible college tournaments and playing on the Golf Channel just in that short period of time. So it's a way for our local community and youth to have a mentor and to get out there and also just be able to see the next level of potential professional golfers. So I don't really have a whole much more than that, but if anybody has questions, I'd love to answer on this as well. So, yes.
Okay, I have 2 or 3.
Sure.
Now, this information is presented to the area schools, right?
Yes, there's been, our committee is working with some of the athletic directors of the schools, yes.
Okay. Now, as far as the donation, do you
Yes.
have applications?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'd like to have one.
Awesome. Just on the donation side of things, when Steve was saying that half of it goes to the foundation, that foundation work goes to being able to let players that can't afford to play golf and travel to be able to cover some of their expenses. So the AJGA, I believe it was something like 80% of the people that applied for these grants to be able to compete and get a chance to show themselves off to college coaches, get approved for that. So their foundation that they have is also an incredible thing.
So, lastly, you'll get information out in the papers and the radio where businesses that like to take part.
Yeah, so we had a press release go out already in the Rappahannock Record. There's been some radio. I'd like to continue to push that in my past life. We had news, radio, we had just a bunch of reporters cover this as well. So this is a very big event for us coming here. So
Okay, last thing, how about flyers that you can put up in various areas?
yes, yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll do everything we can get the word out, and for tonight, I know you guys all have copies of these. I'm gonna leave, there are only 20 of them, but I'm gonna leave some out front. This piece right here, the colored piece, has a list of sponsorship levels, and most importantly, on the back, to register, under to register, it has a little QR code. If you're interested in, donating or sponsoring a team in the junior am or anything, you can point your camera right to that little QR code, and it'll show up on your camera. You can fill in the blanks, your name and address, and what you want to donate, what contribution you want to make. It's real easy. So, obviously, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them at Indian Creek as well, but I'll leave these out front.
Do you have applications tonight that,
Yes.
Gentlemen, I came in with my hair on fire. I failed to introduce myself. I'm your executive director for economic development. A couple of things that we're working on strategy-wise and get the word out is coordinating with the county administrator to make sure there's potentially a banner on our Northumberland County website that advertises it. We have a do, stay, eat map. In that map, we're going to put a little star where Indian Creek Yacht and Country Club is, so people see where the location is and that proximity for hoteling, for food, and all the like around that area. Another foot stomp is, Steve had mentioned there's about 95 players. Well, double that because the parents are going to come. Then you also got to figure in the AJGA staff, which is about
There
how
are
many
about 10
people?
or 12, but there are also college
It's about a 7 to 10 day endeavor that will have people on the ground visiting Northumberland County. So, and like I said, not just this year, but potentially 2 more years from now. So this is a great opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Good luck.
I'm going to leave these out front. And if anybody has any additional questions, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda would be Jackie Clayton, Lisa Butler, Department of Social Services.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening,
and
ladies. How y'all doing?
Supervisors. Thank you for inviting us. I'm Jackie Clayton. I'm the Director of Northumberland Department of Social Services. This is Lisa Butler. She is the Benefit Program Specialist Supervisor. So I brought her to answer any of those questions that are program specific. She's been there 30 years. She's going to know the answer. Hopefully I know. So hopefully you had time to look over the PowerPoint. So if you had any questions, we'll be able to answer them.
All right, go ahead, ladies.
Oh, there we go. So this is the spending report for 2024 for Northumberland County. If you had any questions about that, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. I think the main things is the client spending, $32 million. That is not local match. That's straight federal, state funding. That's the Medicaid and the SNAP mainly, and then some other smaller programs that we have. The county in that particular year had a local match, $695,000. So for $695,000, we got $32 million of services to the community. The next screen is the exact same one, except I put Lancaster County side by side, so you can see the comparison. We run about neck to neck as far as population and spending. We get a little more money than Lancaster does from the federal and the state, but we also have $2.1 million more in SNAP and Medicaid benefits in this county. The board had asked about the ages. This is unduplicated, so that means the 0 to 17-year-olds that are the 1,276 individuals, they may also be getting SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. So it's not, it's unduplicated. So that comes out to be about 4,183 citizens across the county who receive some sort of benefit program. That's about 34% of the county individuals. All right, I'm gonna let Ms. Butler talk her specialty programs now.
One of the programs that we use to assist our citizens here is TANF, or Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. It used to be what folks call the OAFDC program back 30-some years ago it was. And then when welfare reform came in 1995, and then parole in 1996, it changed to TANF, Temporary Assistance to Needy Family. And what this does, it provides a cash assistance to people who are of extremely low income. And usually in our county, what we see, we have approximately 16 families on TANF right now. And the majority of those families are grandparents and aunts and uncles or cousins who are raising children because their parents aren't able to do so. We have right now 2 families who doesn't meet that category. Last year we spent about $54,000 assisting those families, and they get an average of $234 a month. And if you will flip to the next screen, you will see that, for example, a family of 2, their household income can be no more than $767 in order to receive TANF. And if they're eligible, they will get $385 a month. But if they have other income in their household, that $385 is reduced dollar for dollar. So say they get $200 a month from a family friend, or they're working and they get $200 a month, then they will only get $185 of TANF benefits. So it's reduced dollar for dollar, but your income really does have to be extremely low in order to get TANF. Okay. And then our next program is VIEW, and that's the work component of our TANF program. Folks who are on VIEW and they're not what we call payee cases, where there's a grandparent or aunt who is taking care of the child, that family has to work at least 20 hours a week or participate in a job training program, go to school at least 35 hours a week in order to receive that grant of $300 a month. So what we believe in is in self-sufficiency. Folks need to learn how to become self-sufficient so that they will not be dependent on TANF program for their life. And TANF does have a lifetime limit. You can only get it for 5 years. And for folks who meet the category of the VIEW, they can get it for 2 years. They have to be off for a year, and then they can get it for additional 2 years. But during that 2 years, we're working with that family so they can become self-sufficient, so they won't be caught without anything when they are forced to go off because of the program requirements. And our next program is SNAP, which is normally formerly known as food stamps. And SNAP feeds approximately 800 families in this community. And what it is, they changed the name from food stamp to SNAP because they want to emphasize the fact that it's a supplemental program. It's not a program that's designed to feed a family for an entire month. It's to supplement their income, because most of the folks that we have on SNAP are working families, but they're just working below the federal poverty level. Therefore, they do qualify for some SNAP benefits. The average amount of benefits that families are receiving is around $300, with the low amount, and most of our elderly folks are getting like $23. But then some folks are getting more, depending on their family size and their income. So SNAP benefits are based on income. We have very few folks who are without income, but what we find is most of our folks are required or do have income. And there is a work requirement component to the SNAP program for folks between the ages of 18 and 54. They're required to work at least 20 hours a week in order to get SNAP benefits. If they don't work at least 20 hours a week or meet an exemption, then they can only receive SNAP for 3 months in a 36-month period of time. So again, our programs are based on people becoming self-sufficient and not dependent on the system in order to exist. But because we find that folks' income are low, they do qualify for program benefits. And last year, folks in this county received almost $2.8 million in SNAP benefits, which really does have a wonderful ripple effect on our community, because it keeps things like Food Line open, they keep the convenience stores where you can buy food, anywhere where you can buy food, our Family Dollars, our dollar stores that sell food, and that help that business to employ people, which really bring tax dollars into our community. Let's see. And during the pandemic, they lifted the work requirement. And at that point, we had 839 families on SNAP benefits. So when the pandemic ended, they reenacted the work requirement. And now we have 790. So, it's not a major difference. So you can really see that most of our folks are working and are eligible to food stamps because their income is so low. And our next program is Medicaid, and that is the medical piece of the program to help people with medical insurance for medical services that they receive. And Medicaid is one of the biggest programs that we have. Last year, it was $28.8 million that was given in Northumberland County. And, with Medicaid, because doctors are all over, and many of our folks go to Richmond or other surrounding areas for medical treatment, that money is kind of spread out across the state. But when we look at that $28.8 million. Nationwide, 56% of individuals who are receiving the majority are over 65, and that's because of the cost of long-term care. Long-term care really does eat up a large portion of the Medicaid dollars because nursing home care is so extremely expensive. We do have a program for folks that are between the ages of 18 and 64. That's our expanded Medicaid group, and that's one of the groups that they talk about that they want to cut or reduce the coverage for them. We have about 1,000 of those folks that are on assistance through the Medicaid program. But the state of Virginia has what they call a trigger law. So with the federal government, if the funding from the federal government goes below 90%, then they're going to cut that expanded category, which will affect approximately 1,000 folks. And many, again, those folks are families with children who are working, but their income is below the federal poverty level. They're not able to afford regular insurance or even insurance through the Affordable Care Act because of the cost and because of their income restraints. Okay. Next.
Oh, I think,
energy.
energy.
Energy. I forgot energy. My favorite program. I really do love this program because energy program help provide heating and cooling for our families who are really low income. And we know with harsh winters, heating is so important, especially for our elderly folks. And also in the summertime, cooling is one of those wonderful programs that will help keep people comfortable and keep them from dying from heat exhaustion. So and it consists of 3 components. It have our fuel assistance that we have during the winter months that help people with heating needs. If their furnace is broken or if they need furnace replacement, equipment replacement, repairs, we can help with that if they meet the income criteria. And then in the winter months from January to March, we can help them with supplemental fuel to keep their furnaces and things running throughout the winter months. And then again, in the summer months, we have the cooling program that can help with paying of an electric bill, that will help with paying for an air conditioner if they need air conditioner, repair of air conditioners. And this program last year brought in over $206,000 to our county. And most of that money stays local because you're talking about local repair guys, you're talking about our local oil companies. So it's really staying here locally. And, we're serving our citizens, we're bringing tax dollars into the county, and so it's a wonderful program. I mean, I can't say enough about the cooling program, the heating program, because it does you can see the impact of people's lives, and we get calls all the time, and people are telling us, thank you. You fixed my furnace, I now have air conditioning, I'm now cool, I'm now warm, I'm able to keep my family warm. So, it's a wonderful program. Okay.
The last slide is dealing with what we do to assist with employment in the county. Lisa touched on some of it. We have these partners. We have Rappahannock Community College. We have the Workforce Development in Warsaw. We have the Job Assistance Center. We can refer our clients to them for any kind of assistance. The Job Assistance Center actually sends someone to our office once a week, and anybody can come in and meet with them. They bring us copies of the job listings. We distribute them to anybody who wants them. But as Ms. Butler said, people do have to work, so those who need it will take advantage of it. Medicaid at this point does not have a work requirement. That's one of the things you hear in the news all the time going on right now. So, but we'll help anyone. You don't have to have a job requirement for us to help, but they'll come in, they'll help us. We'll give Bay Transit tickets if they need to go somewhere. A lot of the problem in our county, if you saw the presentation, was transportation. A lot of people can get jobs at Walmart and McDonald's and convenience stores, but Bay Transit runs like 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon in this county. It's going to be hard to get one of those jobs if you're depending on Bay Transit. Not that it's not a good thing, it is a good thing, but the hours are not conducive to some of our shift work. So we try to help as we can. We have childcare assistants. We have about 34 slots. They're full. We're going to be running a waiting list. Statewide, that's not unusual. It's about 10,000 kids statewide on the childcare waiting list. So we're doing what we can, and if you want any more information, you're more than welcome to come by the office. We'll go over anything with you. Department of Social Services is stat happy. We have all kinds of stats. We can pretty much get you anything you'd like.
Okay. Gentlemen, you have any questions for these ladies?
I've got one. Ms. Butler, does the same income level make you eligible for these programs that you talked about, or does it differ depending on the program? And what would that income level be for, say, the SNAP program?
Okay, and for like a household size of 1, the income level right now is like at $1,883 a month. And then it goes up by household size, yes. And then if you do have income, again, your food stamp benefits are based on your income. So you wouldn't get the maximum amount, because the maximum amount for a household size of 1 is $291. So like with some of our older folks who gets like $1,000 a month, they may only get $23 of SNAP benefits because they do have income. Again, the SNAP program is designed to supplement your household and not feed your household.
Ms. Butler, I have one question. The fuel assistance EAP, that runs January to when?
Okay. Right now, we're in what we call the crisis season. So the crisis season run, it actually starts in November for repair of equipment, and it runs through March 15th. And because the 15th is Saturday, it will run till Monday. And so starting January 1st through March 15th, we can help with supplemental fuel assistance. So if you're low on oil, or if you heat with electric because you have a heat pump, then if you're in disconnect status, we can help you with that.
I've received numerous complaints, and I direct them right on to your office.
Okay.
But the complaints are that it gets mighty cold in December,
It does.
and they can't get any oil.
And
They can't get any fuel
that's the
assistance.
problem with the program, because we take application for fuel assistance starting the second Tuesday in October to the second Friday in November. And then the benefits aren't determined till mid-December. So the notices are going out to the vendor that week right before Christmas, and then the vendors have to sort all those notices and then deliver the fuel.
It's usually always into January
Yes.
before they get a
Yes,
drop of
it
oil
is, it
or whatever.
is. Now, I will tell you, we have one oil vendor, and I won't call his name, but he knows who he is.
Uh-huh.
He gets that oil out there. Some of the other ones that have become large companies, they're extremely
Yeah,
slow in getting the
we're
fuel
we're
out.
privileged to have him.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Are there any programs to assist with managing money and budgeting in the household?
We don't have those programs here, but the Extension Office does have budgeting programs. But with our VIEW program, the worker that comes in to assist our folks with job assistance, that's one of the things that she does work with folks with them. But the Extension Office used to have a budgeting program, but that is something that we work with on our customers, is to make sure that they have, because their budgets are really tight.
Right.
And so, just one little hiccup in the road will throw their budget out of, I know mine get out of whack. We'll throw their budgets out of whack in a heartbeat. Yeah, it's so important.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Ladies, thank y'all for the presentation. And,
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Good to see y'all.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Oh, yes. All right, the next items are supplemental appropriation. Mr. Tadlock?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. While Ms. Clayton was here, I didn't know, I know it's a little bit out of order, but we had 2 supplemental appropriations for the Children's Services Act. The first one is a total of $114,356.01, going to 5302, 6003. And these are CSA state monies coming to the locality. So they're in and out monies. They're not local funds. I didn't know if you all had any specific questions related to that one.
Have any questions, gentlemen? All right. We need a motion.
Move that we approve.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against? Thank you, Ms. Clayton.
And
Got one more, Mr. Tadlock.
yes, sir. And the other one is a local match needed for the CSA expenditures in the amount of $6,200, and that's going to line item 5302, 6002.
What was that amount again?
6,200.
All right, gentlemen, any discussion?
Move that we approve.
All right, I have a motion to have second. I'll second it. All right, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against? All right.
All right,
There you
thank
go, Mr. Clayton. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tadlock. All right, our next item is an update from Northumberland County Schools. Come on up, ladies. Good to see you all here today.
You as well. Good evening, Mr. Haney. Good evening, Board of Supervisors. My name's Karen Leslie. I'm the Assistant Superintendent at Northumberland County Public Schools. I know you understand that Dr. Wargo is out this evening for some personal reasons, and I apologize I don't have a formal presentation, but I do have 4 update points that I would like to share with you this evening, then of course take any questions. So first and foremost, if you were able to attend our school board meeting, I did just want to take a moment to congratulate our Teachers of the Year, which included Ms. Rebecca Jones as the District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Victoria West as our Middle School Teacher of the Year, as well as Kimberly Farmer as our Elementary School Teacher of the Year. So that was point number 1 that I wanted to go through. A couple other things that have been going on is I was able to meet this morning with the Director of Finance to address some of those areas that came up in the school board meeting as well, where we have some negative values that are showing up in some of our accounts. And I have an action plan together with our interim Director of Finance, Ms. Withers, where she will be addressing the major impacts and not pulling those accounts into the negative. So we will stop, we will make sure that that stops happening, and then we will be working to address bringing those accounts back into the black and getting them out of the red. So that is something that we are actively working on and have a plan as of today, a tight plan of working on those. In addition to that, I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
All right, while you're right on that subject, what's your time frame on correcting?
So there's 2 levels to correcting. The first level of correcting is to stop bringing those negative values as far negative. So by tomorrow afternoon, the codes should be swapped in our system to stop pulling money negative from those accounts. As far as reconciling those accounts back into the black, that is going to take us longer, and I would say it would probably take us at least till the end of the month. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Anyone else have any other questions?
In addition to those things, I had 2 more points. I also know that in the school board meeting, there was a lot of discussion on our MOE report, which is why I have our Director of Special Education with me, Ms. Jessica Rogers. She and I have been working diligently, specifically the last 16 hours straight, on the MOE. I understand there were some questions on that. We have gone through all of the data, all of the expenditures for the entire year for 2023, 2024, literally line by line to the penny, in order to identify all of the special education funding, or excuse me, all of the money that was spent on special education during that time. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Rogers. She can give you a little bit more information about what the MOE is and why that is something that I'm bringing to your attention.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So the maintenance of effort, it's a federal requirement for all public schools. The public school has to spend the same amount of local and state monies on our students with special education, their programs, and related services. They have to spend the same or more from the last fiscal year. Students with special needs, I mean, they do require more services, programs, than are typically our general education students, which is why this is why I'm sorry, I'm nervous, so you have to, so they recognize that services, programs, and equipment for students with special needs can be more costly. Well, that's why the requirement was put in place. Expenditures that are included in this can only be expenditures for students with special needs. That's it. And it's been very interesting learning this whole process, especially in going through the expenditure reports. Give me some questions so I can.
What was the total amount that should have been expended to cover?
So last year, I can give last year's numbers. State funds, which is from the annual school report, that was $266,639. And the local funds that were reported through the maintenance of effort report was $2,325,231.08. So this year, going through the report, our state money, which is also in our ASR, or the annual school report, was $269,629.80. Going through our expenditures, we were able to locate $2,063,523.87. So
Repeat that number, please.
$2,063,523.87. And this is considerably less than what I may have mentioned on Monday. Again, we went through the expenditure reports and line by line. So they do give us 4 tests, like to see whether or not we make it. And as of right now, we have not made our maintenance of effort, but they will do some exceptions. With the exceptions, what it's looking like is we have a remaining shortage of $251,316.43. So we've been working with the Department of Education, the finance specialist, today, yesterday, and we even have a meeting on Friday.
This report was due the 31st of January, is that correct?
Yes. We had been working on that report prior to Ms. Booth going out on leave. We could not get the numbers between the audit that was going on. We had quite a few interruptions.
So we filed for extensions, I guess?
Yes. Yes, Dr. Wargo, we filed them with Ms. Coleman, who's the finance lead at the Department of Education, and she gave us an extension. We continue to look through our payroll, because that's where the bulk of our money is in for our expenditures. And we just kept looking for expenditures that were special education specific.
Are we within the time frame of one of those extensions now?
Yes. So we're going to meet with Ms. Lewis, who is our Virginia Department of Education representative. We meet with her tomorrow, and then next week we actually meet with Ms. Coleman as a team to determine next steps.
What was the time frame on the extension?
The first one was February, I want to say February 14th. And then we received, then after that, Ms. Lewis has actually been working with us.
All right, so you don't have another extension at this time?
We're still in that extension. Again, the Department of Education has been working with us. It's been greatly appreciated because they've been seeing the same numbers as what we have, and they've been, like I said, trying to figure out, have you forgotten transportation? Have you forgotten, this employee? So they've been really, like I said.
So now what happens? We have the difference of the two numbers, $251,000 and some change.
So There are a couple potential things that can happen. First and foremost, we need to drill down on that number 252. I do feel confident that Ms. Rogers and I did that over the last 16 hours. As I stated, we went through every stitch of every expenditure, which I believe was 100,000 lines or something along there, looking for all of that. And I do feel pretty confident that we're very close to the accurate number. However, I can't report that as the accepted or accurate number by VDOE until they have reviewed our materials and accepted that number. So I can't tell you 100% this is the number it's going to be, but to the best of what we are aware at this point, I would say it's probably pretty close to us being that amount short. So a number of things will happen. There are 4 tests, as Ms. Rogers indicated, and that probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but essentially we report our numbers to VDOE and they put them through 4 different tests, putting them against the numbers that we should have, and they decide whether we pass or fail. So first and foremost, we already know with the numbers that we have that we will probably not be able to pass tests 1 and 2, which means that we will be liable to return that money to them. In addition to that,
So there is one test where we may be able to use.
yes, so there are tests 3 and 4. There is some hope that we will be able to make that maintenance of effort on test 4. And if that happens, that would allow us to remain eligible to receive funding. But if we do not, that might be another story. And again, I can't answer to what VDOE will say about that. We are just not sure if we're going to be able to pass on that 4th test at this point. So kind of 2 different things. There is the amount which was spent that we cannot show was spent in the correct area. And in addition to that, we have that test that will say whether or not we're going to be eligible to receive that funding for the following school year.
Ms. Rogers, I heard you say at the school board meeting, as you did say here, that substantial time was devoted to the forensic audit. Do you have can you give me any rough idea of how much time that involved?
I'm going to be honest with you, because I go between the 3 schools quite a bit, but whenever we would try to schedule time to work on this, we were interrupted quite a bit. I mean, answering questions and everything, because there were timelines that were required for Ms. Booth as well. So, I mean, I can't speak for the whole time because I don't spend, I try to be down in the 3 schools versus up in the school board office. But I do know that when we tried to do our meetings and schedule them, it was a challenge.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right,
So
go ahead.
is it possible to file for a 3rd extension?
So really with the extension at this point, VDOE has recognized that we are having a lot of difficulty, which is why Ms. Rogers and I did that secondary audit that she and I have done over the past few days of literally pulling every single penny within the expenditures for that entire year, which is not typically what was done. But we did that at the behest of VDOE. We put together all of the reports and spreadsheets with all of those entries so that we could give that to them, so that when the director of Finance for the Department of Education is available next week to meet with us, she can see every single thing that we have done to try to help us reconcile if there's anything that we've missed.
Are you aware of the school division getting in this predicament in the past?
Do you want to take that one?
So I do know that for our maintenance of effort, well, yes and no. Yes, I was informed coming in that there may be some concerns regarding the maintenance of effort. It's just the comparison between the numbers have grown, and it's just gone too high for us to make that, to meet the effort, is what was explained to me today.
So I think there are a couple of compounding factors that we have also discussed with VDOE, and that was we believe when we start to look at the trend of our numbers as far as back as 2020, actually I think we went as back as 2017, as we look at the trending numbers, it appears that there was a calculation error at some point along the road that made the MOE, that number, higher than what we really should be reaching. And so in the past, I believe since 2020, we haven't been able to reach that number outright without using exceptions. And so it appears to be somewhat of a snowball effect where we had some kind of a miscalculation somewhere along the road that wasn't caught. They continue to make the MOE using the exceptions only, but it essentially has caught up at this point, is how it seems to be.
It's exceptions, explain exceptions.
So there, the exceptions can be whether you have a decreased enrollment with your student population or you have personnel that have left. Those are the two most common exceptions that are used. There's some other exceptions that are more technical, but as far as Northumberland County Public Schools, they've used actually decreased enrollment. We can't use that because our enrollment has increased. So we have been working on the personnel, but we haven't had much personnel last year, or between fiscal year 23 and 24 leave, or retire, or.
And so exceptions for the case of the MOE are exactly that. It's when we can't show from the standard categories that we have spent it on the normal expenditures, like salaries, instruction, instructional materials, transportation. When we can't come to the number that we should be coming to, we can claim some of these exceptions to try to get us through, and that's what has been done the past couple of years. Now, we have claimed some exceptions this year as well, but they are inadequate to bring us to where we need to be, or at least from our calculations, that's where they are.
All right, so this has been going on since 2020.
When was the last time we made it?
So we've made it, actually.
Without exceptions.
Oh, no, I've only gone back to 2021.
2021?
Yes.
Okay.
Just because I was looking at numbers, trying to understand two different reports, so.
So again, with the exceptions, we have been able to make it. We haven't been in this exact vote. At this point, with the exceptions that we're looking at, we can't make it work.
Okay. So you're $251,316.43 short, or over or something.
It may be that it's $251,000 that
Okay.
we'll have to pay back.
And what's going to happen now with that shortage right there?
So I'm going to be quite honest with you. I am not sure, and I probably will not know until I talk to Ms. Coleman next week. I really and truly do not have a answer for you right now until we sit down, look at the numbers, and are able to determine the next steps.
And Ms. Coleman's in the DOE?
The Virginia Department of Education.
Okay.
She's big finance.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions?
Possibility of having to pay back that $250,000 at the school system. Started to identify that money in their budget, within their budget to pay it back?
We have not gotten to that at this point.
What was that? What'd you say?
If I understood the question correctly, have we identified where in the budget we would pay that money back? We have not gotten to that point yet, since potentially the findings of this will impact our budget numbers, maybe to the tune of what we have to repay, possibly with a federal allocation, depending on what VDOE tells us.
Could this affect our grant next year? It could?
Yes, we could.
It will?
We don't know that it will. Again, we had the 4 tests within the system, so we know from the first 2 tests that if our numbers are correct, we would have to pay that amount back. That's part 1. If we are able to pass test 4 in that same area, then that would mean that we could still be eligible to get our federal allocation. If we are not able to pass test 4, then we may not be able to get that.
So the situation is going to cost us $251,000 plus whatever we're penalized next year.
Potentially.
What is the system of checks and balances to work through the MOE? Is there one in place?
It was not in the past that I know of, as I came in February of last year. But I do know that Dr. Leslie and Tina and I have worked on trying to put something in place where, I'm taking all the purchase orders, I'm holding on to my receipts, I'm putting them into a spreadsheet and making sure that I know the numbers. And then hopefully they are coded correctly, because, I mean, I'm putting in the codes that I know, or are based on the chart of accounts. And that's, I mean, we're putting something in now. I'm not sure about previously.
Mr. Rogers, you've been here a year. So you're trying to clean up a mess. I got you.
Any other questions?
No question, but I'm going to say something, and it's not directed to any of you ladies. Problem, once again, is where's the accountability in this? It's none. It's, whoops, we made a mistake. We can't continue to have it. You know, we got a county that not far from us is going through the same stuff. And they've just signed an agreement with the school system to take over the finances. Is that the point where we need to try to do, start negotiation, taking over finances of the school? Because if you can't get it right, something's got to happen.
I think the process that they're going through is going to be corrected. I have confidence that you ladies will be able to fix it.
I hope so too, Mr. Long, but that doesn't account for any shortcomings in the
No,
past.
I know, but we have to just follow the procedure and correct it. You know, it's been done, so we got to correct it.
Any other penalties that you may face on the shortfall here, or the shortage of money?
Well, right now, I won't know that until after we meet with Ms. Coleman. I may be.
So there are possible penalties and everything involved too?
That was not relayed to me, but that was also, that was not in part of our discussions
Okay.
with her this
I have
past.
asked some pretty pointed questions, however, about what's our worst-case scenario look like financially, et cetera, and I've not been made apprised of potential monetary penalties. I believe the penalty would be not receiving that funding, which would in fact be a monetary penalty in a lot of ways.
All right. If you have to pay this money back, any idea of a dollar amount that is going to affect you on your upcoming budget for the next year, for the, what is it, 25, 26 budget?
So, just based on, yeah, a good estimate.
Good estimate, yes.
All right.
Estimate is
Good
all I'm
faith.
looking for.
So, I would say about, if we don't get the grant and we have to pay this back, a little under maybe 700,000. Because, I mean, our grant money was about 331,000, and this is 251,316. And so, I mean, and the grant funding is used for teacher salaries and benefits. So that's,
So you'd be looking county taxpayer to come up with that money? Ms. Rogers,
it comes from
I'm not
state and local
picking on you.
funds.
I'm just trying to get answers.
I wouldn't say it would be a one-to-one. I mean, I wouldn't say that we would look at that number being the direct impact on the budget. If that is the case, and that would be one of the worst-case scenarios, we certainly would
Well, I like to
take a
hear,
look at
I
the-
want to hear the worst case.
Well,
Don't
that
butter
would be
me
the
up.
worst case, right? If that were the worst-case scenario, certainly we would need to take a look at the budget and see what we can do to make some new adjustments, take a look at.
Well, you know, all this accounting goes back to the school board and the superintendent. They have not done their job. It all goes right to the top, which is the school board.
Don't flow downhill. It goes up.
Yep, it goes on up. But school board should be looking over these finances, monthly reports. They should know everything going on in that budget. This board here knows everything going on in this county budget.
Indeed we do.
We keep up with it. Anything out of line, we correct it. That is not what's happening on the school system. This is just totally uncalled for. And I agree with Mr. Brand, it's time for the school board to make a decision to turn it over to the county. Because the forensic audit told a lot, and the forensic auditors were very nice to the school board. They didn't show everything, but there's a lot more in there that needed to come out.
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that forensic audit, it was something in the audit about background checks. It was some staff, school staff, that didn't have background checks. And that seems kind of been forgotten a little bit because everybody's focusing on money. But to me, that is more important, who we have around these kids. What's being done to correct that?
Yes, sir. So that has been corrected. So I
Okay.
have worked personally with our new person that we have in HR, which is Ms. O'Beer. And she has been given a number of different directives that she cross-checks with me anytime we onboard an employee for anything, be it coaching, volunteering, new hire, what have you. So we have actually created a step-by-step process, a checklist, what needs to be done. And at this point, we actually are completing background checks before we're having our employees approved by the school board, so all of that has already been completed. So we have checked them as they've come along. We have spot checked them anytime we have a question. And since we have put these things in place, we have not found any holes in that sense. So I do feel confident that since that has been put into place, that we are in a good place with those background checks. And I do understand that's a really big concern.
Right, thank you.
All things.
Absolutely.
County and everybody.
Absolutely.
Well, I know y'all ladies are doing what you can, and I thank y'all for your work. And I know you're doing the best you can. It's not, you didn't make the problem, you stepped into it. And I don't mean to be picking on you. I'm not trying to insult you or anything, but the problem does lie with the school board. School board members have told me that they couldn't look at the books, look at the accounting. They need to open their eyes up. They are responsible for it. You are an employee of the school board. You answer to them. The school board does not answer to you.
They report to this board.
Yeah, and the school board reports to this board, even though we've been told that they are co-equal boards, and that is not so. It's time for this school board to start coming to meetings with us, sitting down and having a chat between the two boards and work these problems out, if we can work them out. It's gotten so much divide between the two boards, and I'm not going to say we can bring it back. I don't know. But I'm not blaming y'all ladies, and I appreciate everything y'all done, and I hope y'all can keep up with it.
I thank you also for being here tonight. And I feel like you've been honest with us, and I feel like you've tried to answer some hard questions, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Thank y'all for coming, appreciate it. All right, next on the list is Virginia Department of Transportation, Mr. David Beal. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, good evening. It's good to be seen. In honor of Mr.
Yes, it is.
You're right, it is.
Hey, we finally got out of this winter season. I think I'm just going to declare it. When no more snow this year.
Now we're
You
gonna
hope.
get another- We're going to
You
get
hope.
another foot next week.
Right.
But you know what March can bring.
I know. But we're on the potholes. We're in pothole season. Snow season's over. So we've been busy patching potholes. Todd told me before I came over, they've used 11 pallets of cold patch material so far, and we just ordered another tractor trailer full. So we're steady patching the potholes, and it shouldn't be this way, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease. As long as I know where the potholes are, those are the ones we're going to fill. So if you know where the potholes are, if you would tell us, 1-800-4-ROAD is the best way to do that. That's 1-800-367-7623. If there's a pothole in your neighborhood and you want it filled, report it. It'll be on our list, and we will get to it sooner than the ones that we have to go look for ourselves.
Read
So if
that
you can,
number again. What's that number?
it's 1-800-4ROAD, FORROAD, but it's 367-7623. We did do some shoulder repairs on 360 between Claryville and Burgess, and we're working on work orders as well. I wanted to thank the county and Mr. McKenzie for their efforts on the litter. The vendor was able to complete the litter pickup that we talked about last month. So I appreciate your help on that. We still have all the same, mostly all the same things on the upcoming list. We are pushing hard on some surface treatment patching. That's a liquid asphalt that goes down with a stone coat on top. So we'll be doing that on a lot of the secondary roads in advance of our contractor that's going to be doing the surface treatment of the entire road. Those roads are listed on your report as under construction. Both the Cape Seal roads and the surface treatment roads are under construction, mostly right now with line eradication. But the contractor that's doing the surface treatment is starting in Lancaster this year. I'll be there a few weeks, and then they'll be in Northumberland here in a month or two. The plant mix schedule, I anticipate that to start later in June. Next month, we'll plan to do the work session for the secondary 6-year plan update. Addie's Point is on the plan right now. We had talked about removing that and maybe finding something else to do. So we'll talk about that next month, and then in May we'll hold the public hearing and get the public comment on that. The Scour project at Bushmill Creek is underway, and I think that's all the updates I have for you all. If you all have any questions for me, I'm happy to take them.
Fish, you have anything?
What is the procedure for a citizens group who wants to have their road considered to have the speed limit reduced in their residential area?
The procedure would be that they contact you, and you ask me to do a study, and then I'll send that to the district, and they will review it, and they will give us a report whether or not they want, whether or not they recommend well, they're the ones in charge of the speed limit, so whether or not the speed limit would be reduced or.
Okay, we'll be in touch. That's all I have, sir.
What's usually the fee to do it?
What's the what?
Is there a fee to do it?
Not,
Or the money probably has to come out of your fund some kind of way?
yeah, I mean, as long as the request is reasonable. I mean, a lot of times we'll look at it and we'll, in a few minutes, we can determine whether or not what our outcome is going to be.
Done that before.
But sometimes we have to do, we might look at it and say, well, this one might really need to be reduced. So we would do a full study and traffic counts and speed data, and it's much more involved. As long as it's not, request after request, we can typically handle that with our administrative funds. The county does have secondary 6-year plan money. I keep about $25,000 in the countywide, I think we call it engineering and surveying fund. So if the request became excessive or something we couldn't cover, we could pull it out of that.
Okay.
Typically a full-blown traffic study for speed, costs a few $1,000s. And if it was something that you all really wanted us to study, but maybe we either didn't have the time to study or didn't feel like it was a candidate that we would lower, but you still wanted to see the study, we would probably pull it out of those secondary 6-year plan funds and get a consultant to do it.
All right. Mr. Bryan?
Only thing I want to pass on, I got a phone call from Mr. Vallandigham the other day that reminded me to remind you how good he made you look during the snowstorm and all of that. I think he's looking for a free lunch. But I would like to say once again that staff at VDOT and all the contractors done an awesome job in the 2 snowstorms that we had this year. I had a lot of good compliments.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. It's definitely, I've been in the Northern Neck for 5 years. And I'm just thinking now, I've been at VDOT for 12 years, and I'm pretty sure this last winter was the worst one we've had, you know, in my VDOT career. But we did, I mean, I think we did handle it exceptionally well, and that's in part to all the guys in the field and all of our contract partners. You know, that last storm, I think it was a Thursday, we got a call from the Weather Service and said we might get 16 inches of snow in Westmoreland or something. And, you know, we were scrambling over the weekend to hire any and every contractor that was willing to push snow, you know, and we got a lot of extra help. It ended up not being as much, but we knocked it out. But it really does take a community effort, and I'm very much appreciative of that.
It's a good group of people in Lottsboro.
It is.
Anything else? Mr. Long? Mr. Williams?
I had 2 potholes that needed filling and 1 sign that was down, and I was planning on complaining to you about this today, but darn it, you fixed them before the meeting, so.
I guess I do owe Todd lunch now. Lunch and dinner.
He wanted to head that off and pass.
That's all.
Mr. Bill, I got a fellow by the name of Larry Stretchy. I got his information here. Could you give that to him? He wants to talk to you about what he can do with that road that they live on. It's a gravel road. They'd like to get it into the state system, but I'm not sure. And I just wanted you to look at it, talk to him, and tell him if it can be or it can't be done.
I'll contact him.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. Next item would be Stuart McKenzie, a year-end report, sir.
Yes, sir. This is the 2024 end-of-the-year report, and this is the annual report of the Northumberland County Planning Commission. I'll try to just hit the highest points. I know we're running late, so just go through a few of the amendments that the Planning Commission considered. We added boat canopies to the boathouse ordinance, which was not in there before. It gives another option for people that want to protect their boats. The board requested the commission review all the uses in the zoning ordinance, and we did that. And the results of that was that we found that often office buildings were a by right use in R1, R2, and that didn't seem right, and I believe you all agreed with that. And so we made office buildings a conditional use in residential general and residential waterfront. At the behest of the board, we also amended the ordinance for the solar energy facilities. We increased the minimum setback from 25 feet to 50 feet to allow for a vegetated buffer. We revised the decommissioning plan so that the first review would be 2 years instead of 5 years, and then after that it would be 5 years after that until the decommissioning of the plant. And the decommissioning plan review basically stated that if the review came that the cost would cost more, that they would need to increase their bond and surety to the same amount. The board asked the Planning Commission to consider a 1 mile prohibition of utility scale solar energy facilities from tidal waters. The Planning Commission did not have enough votes for that, and so they compromised on a 3/4 mile buffer from tidal waters for solar, the utility scale large solar energy facilities. And other public hearings that were held, that we looked at the capital improvement plan back in April of last year and sent it to the board for adoption. We had a request by Mr. Roger Evans for a conditional use permit to allow construction of a boathouse on the property on Clark Lane, and we recommended that would be approved. And then recently had a request by Mr. Caudle for a conditional use permit for a small retail business furniture repair shop in Lottsburg, and that was recommended for approval. If you all recall, we had questions about a possible business license in the county, requiring a business license. and that was through our comprehensive plan revision. We determined that that was not needed because the county, the Commissioner of Revenue has that information in a spreadsheet that can be used. The whole idea we were looking at is to see whether businesses were increasing or decreasing, or how we were doing with attracting new businesses. There was a memo from the board to the Planning Commission about cargo containers, and we came back with a recommendation that a storage container that's visible from a road or from a neighbor's property must be painted to blend in with existing scenery or establish a natural vegetative screening to hide such a unit. We've been continuing to work on the comprehensive plan, and we've also been working on Hampton Hall Landing to get a conceptual plan together, and working with trying to find funding to be able to build the road into there. And so now the meat of the end of the year report is construction cost. In 2024, the total estimated construction cost was $65,691,585.24. And that was compared to 2023, which was $59,793,853.45. So that is an increase of 9.5% from last year. So we're going in the right direction. I've got some comparisons from 2023 to 2024. You can read that in the report if you'd like. If you'd like for me to go through it, I can do that. I'll just go through the type of structures. In 2023, we had 54 single-family dwellings, and this year we had 72, an increase of 28.6%. Modular in 2023, we had 17, and in 2024, we had 15, so it was a decrease of 12.5%. Double wides, we had 8 in 2023 and 7 in 2024, a decrease of 13.3%. And mobile homes in 2023 were 7, and in 2024, they were 9, which is an increase of 25%. The commercial was a decrease from 10 in 2023 to 2 in 2024, and there's a footnote there that explains about repair model. This report deals with new construction, and oftentimes there's not a lot of new construction, but there's a lot of business buildings here that are remodeled and repaired, and that shows that we had it's 565,500 in 2024, which was down from last year. One of the reasons there was a decrease from last year is that we added in the ARPA monies that we used to upgrade the sewage treatment plants. So that's one of the reasons there a decrease. That's basically it. The rest of the report talks about where the geographic location of where those structures are built and what zoning district is built. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Also, the number of inspections in boathouses and private piers are in your report as well.
All right, any board members have any questions for Mr. Kinsey?
Not on that, but what about the update on the comprehensive plan?
We're currently, we're on chapter 5, but one of the commission members would like to renumber the chapters, which may drag it out a little bit longer. I'm all for getting it wrapped up, but whatever the Planning Commission decides is what we'll do. But I mean, one of the questions they had was, what are y'all? How quickly you want done? I know we've been doing it for quite a while, and COVID got in the way, and so are y'all antsy? Do you want it passed, or is it okay to work on it some more and make it better?
How much time do you think you need?
I don't know. It depends on if we have to change these chapters around. That's because I have to renumber all the figures and all the maps. And, I mean, it's not really a substantive change. It's a formatting change.
I would say let's give them the time.
Right, I would too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to see.
Yes, sir. I will inform the Planning Commission at the next meeting.
That's all right, the rest of the board.
Fine with that. I just
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with the process.
Because I'll tell you what, they're working on it, and there's a lot to be covered. so let's just give them extra time.
Okay.
All right. Mr. McKenzie, anything else, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, thank you for the report. It was a very good report, and I really do appreciate you getting that into us.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck with the plan.
All right, next is the county administrator's report.
Yes, sir. For the month of February, building permits, we had 9 new structures, total construction cost of $4.6 million. Total construction cost year-to-date is $11.2 million, which puts us up above this time last year, approximately $3.5 million. We have a reappointment, Jamie Packett, for the Board of Zoning Appeals, District 2. He is willing to serve again, and this would be a recommendation to the Circuit Court.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against?
We have several supplemental appropriations. The first one is for the Sheriff's Office for car repairs, 3102-3012 is the budget code for a total amount of $18,000. You want to take these individually?
Yes.
That's the first one.
Got a motion to have second?
We're doing car repairs, is the first one, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Second.
All right, got a motion second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against?
The second one is for Dominion Energy in the amount of $12,000 to budget code 3102-5101.
I got a motion to have second?
I second it.
All right, got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those against?
Next one is a transfer and a supplemental appropriation. The transfer is coming from the courthouse security fees to 3102-1004 in the amount of $32,151.36.
Move to approve.
All right, got a motion and a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Next one is for the Sheriff's Office for the ball games worked by the deputies to line item 3102-1006 for $595.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one is FBI payroll reimbursement for the Sheriff's Office, 3102-1111, $209.60.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve.
All right, got a motion to have second? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right,
Next one is reimbursement from the Department of Criminal Justice for overtime in the amount of $3,497 to line item 3102-1003.
what's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Next one is Sheriff's Office for windshield repair in the amount of $616.96 to budget line item 3102-3012.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right,
Next one is a transfer from EMS billing and supplemental appropriation for the grant match for the RSAF. That was the Lucas device that the board had approved the EMS department to move forward in securing that grant, requesting that grant. That would go to 3203-5409 in the amount of $10,199.64.
Move to approve.
excuse me, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Next item is actually moving monies back from the general fund back to the EMS billing. At the board's December 12th board meeting, the board had approved $438,513 for, it was a transfer from EMS billing to the capital vehicles, and that was for the cost of an ambulance. The total cost of the ambulance was actually $410,000, $410,001. And so it's a difference of $28,512 that we are requesting to go back to EMS billing so it doesn't get tied up in the general fund. We want to keep those monies for EMS related items. So that is coming from 9103-7029 back to EMS billing.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against?
Next item, we have received our health insurance rates for this year. We evaluated those numbers, and to keep the employees whole as to what they're currently paying, it's approximately a $66,732 increase in cost. Now, that is best guesstimate. We are using the numbers as of right now as far as what plan the employees are on. That could certainly change as open enrollment arrives. But you do have in your packet the numbers related to that.
To be clear, that would cover school employees as well as county side employees, is that right?
This number is just county employees. The 66,000 is just county employees.
All right, the school system has received the same information?
They have received the same information.
All right, okay. All right, you need anything from us on this right now, or wait till we do our budget?
No, we do need to have this into local choice by April 1st. So I would need a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 local choice renewal rates. And if the board wishes, as presented for active employees, with no change to the plans offered and no change in the employee contribution cost, and to allow the early retirees not eligible for Medicare to continue coverage under early retiree group coverage at local choice's full premium cost until they become Medicare eligible, as currently being offered.
How much of an increase would the employees realize if we did not absorb that $66,000?
So it would, of course, depend on the plan.
Current plans?
Right. The base plan, the Key Advantage 1000, the county has typically always picked up the full amount for the single on that. The next plan, as far as the most popular one, would be the Key Advantage 250 single. And if you look at that, that was an increase of $43 to the individual. Or to the county, sorry.
So the first one is the one that asking to be approved. What was the first figure? What was the first figure you gave?
So the county offers three different plans: the Key Advantage 1000, Key Advantage 250, and a high deductible plan. So depending on what plan the employee selects, it depends on how much the employee would pay. Because you have, under Key Advantage 1000, you have employee only, dual, and then family. And then under Key Advantage 250, you have the same single, dual, and family plans.
All right, so you want us to, you want a motion to approve the three plans is what you're looking for us, so you can go ahead and get moving.
Correct. All right. If that's what, in the past, the board has looked at health insurance as being one of the factors in the loss of employees. So over the last couple of years, we have tried to maintain that cost to employees, but this is only a recommendation. We can look at other items. One of the challenges, we just received this information and it does need to be turned back in fairly quickly.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board then? All right, I got a
I'll
motion.
second that.
And I got a second. Any other discussion on this? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All against? All right.
Before we get off the health insurance, I'd like to see next year, before we get to this point, other options on health insurance. I just don't want to take what they're bringing back to us every year as far as this is what your rate's going to be. We're going to, I mean, it's good insurance, but if they don't know we're not going to go to the shop for a better insurance or cheaper insurance, they're going to.
Yeah, I wish we had a little bit larger window to consider this than what we do.
Yep, window was small.
They're late getting it to us every year, though.
All right, Mr. Tadlock.
All right, next item, the board had requested that the corrective action plans be placed back on the agenda. Wasn't sure what specifically the board had in mind as far as discussions regarding that.
I would like to ask the board to postpone this tonight. I'd like to have a special meeting on this. I got someone working on a PowerPoint presentation that's dealt with some of this in the past. And I would like to be able to give them an opportunity to come and present to the board their thoughts on this. And I think by having a special meeting and specifically focusing on this corrective action plan, that's all we'd have to worry about when we sit down, and we can get a better idea of what direction we need to go in.
I agree.
I like it.
Any time frame on?
Let's go with,
Don't need to procrastinate on it. Don't need to procrastinate
no,
on it.
but I'm working with, I got someone working on it, and I know it's not gonna, has to do it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
I was just wondering, you know.
To be fair.
All right.
And I don't wanna rush someone trying to do
All right,
something to
well,
help the county.
You can keep us informed.
Yes, and call for the.
That's
I'll
all
get-
that's needed.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's the best way to handle it.
All right. Okay, Mr. Tadlock.
All right. Next item, the board had requested information related to the regional radio system cost. To date, we have spent $3,881,531.12. And on the debt service payment and interest paid to date, it has been $585,160.11. The reoccurring cost that we have not, that we will see on an annual basis is not only the debt service and interest payment, but also the $56,993.64 related to the regional radio membership cost, L3 Harris maintenance, and microwave network maintenance. You would also have, not shown in here, you would also have the cost related to the tower rental space. In that packet, you also, I provided the debt service payment structure for the regional radio cost on the monies that were borrowed. And as of right now, we have approximately $1.5 million left in the SNAP account. 1.1 million of that is the principal, and the interest that we have gained on that is approximately $343,000. Any questions on that?
Any questions, gentlemen?
Next item I have is on the Great Wacomico water hazard. Following last month's meeting, I had reached out to Lieutenant Commander Strasfield, who was at the meeting, where he was one of the presenters. He reported that the NOAA Office of Coast Survey, the NOAA OCS has amended the existing charted hazard symbol and intends to support the formal hydrographic survey prior to Memorial Day. Those results may aid in determining the extent of the hazard and any follow-on mitigation strategies. He also said that the concerns from last month were highlighted at the Virginia Harbor Safety Committee and representatives of the Recreational Boating Safety Club Committee during the United States Coast Guard Sector Virginia's brief on February 26. He also provided another gentleman's name with the United States Coast Guard who said that we could start looking at several other options and working with the work group that the board had indicated that they would like to set up. So I'm in the process of reaching out to that gentleman to try to get discussions going with that gentleman. So we are following up on that. Next item, GEOCOM update. This is the dispatch mapping. County and Sheriff's Office staff met with GEOCOM, and that was this past Tuesday, to discuss the issues that were being had with the dispatch mapping system. GEOCOM has committed to looking into the mapping. There were some zooming issues, along with, actually the zooming issues were being seen by some other users of the program. So they've started working on a fix for that. They were also willing to come back and do in-person training with the dispatch staff. And they also indicated that they would research when the dispatchers would look up a road, it would give them a broad area, a national or state road listing. And it seems like that's a geo-referenced area that they can narrow that down on and assist us with trying to get that corrected. So the gentleman was very helpful. John Shanks with GEOCOM came down to meet directly with us. So I just wanted to provide an update to the board on that. County decal for the convenience centers. We have received some information back on that. I do have some more questions for the vendors on the information that they had sent to us, so I don't have anything quite yet for the board, but as soon as we get that information, I'll get that to the board members for your consideration. In the packet, also the board had asked that the county properties be included in this packet. That is listed, the Planning Commission recommendations or their review is what has been put in the in your packet. I know at the last board meeting it was discussed about an area down Hatches Avenue. That particular area, we cannot find anything specific to county property. There's some VDOT property down in that area. So that was not considered under the Planning Commission's review when they did that.
So it's VDOT property.
Everything that we can find, it seems like it's VDOT property located in that area.
Okay.
Let me just double check one other thing. I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman, but let me double check one
All
other
right,
thing.
take your time.
Yes, sir, that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tadlock, as always. Next is committee reports. Anyone have any committee reports? All right. Next is Board of Supervisors items. Approval of check register, gentlemen. Hope you've had time to review it.
Yes, I move to approve.
All right, got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. Next is board comments, and I'll start with Mr. Fisher.
Anything at this time?
All right, Mr. Brand?
I asked about gathering some information on an appointed school board, and that was something Mr. Gregory was supposed to work
Yes,
on.
sir. I can discuss that now, or we can discuss that in closed session. Either way is fine.
Which way you want it? Speak
Closed
up.
session's fine.
I can't hear.
Closed session.
Close, you want it closed session? All right. Is that the way the board feels? All right. I think closed session, Mr. Gregory.
That's fine, either way. Thank you.
All right.
One other thing. I like to see the county do a sponsorship for this golf tournament. It's supporting the kids in this county that may participate in that golf tournament. It's going to support our economic development folks, and it's supporting the county.
What would you like to, or how much would you like to sponsor?
I would like to see the county at least do a gold sponsorship, and that's the $2,500 sponsorship.
Okay. All right. Any
And
other comments on this from the rest of the board?
What's your motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a motion second. All right, any comments? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? All right, motion passes, Mr. Tadlock. Anything else, Mr. Bryan?
That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Long?
Oh, have you had a relation with have you talked to the school board lawyer about
We have, in fact, we had a meeting with the school board attorney, the superintendent, and the school board chair last week, myself, Mr. Tadlock, and Mr. Haney, concerning the EVB building, and I believe we're going to discuss that in closed session as well.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Long?
That's it.
Mr. Williams?
I've got nothing right now.
Got nothing, okay. Well, I don't have anything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're right at our public comment period and our public hearings. It's 7:14 right now. Let's take a 10-minute break and we'll come back to our public comment. Gentlemen, call this meeting back to order. Public comment period. Remember, we have a 4-minute time limit, so try not to run over that if you can help it. All right. First one on the sign-up sheet is Ms. Patsy Self. Nothing, Ms. Self? All right. B. left, okay. All right. All right. Next is Greg Kramer.
Good evening, Cromer. Sorry, my handwriting.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can do.
You're doing great. I'm an aerial photographer. Wanted to introduce myself. I've been working on a quest of sorts to photograph every community in Virginia from an airplane, and I just wanted to show off the one that I took of Heathsville. I also have Reedsville, Callio, Burgess, and several others. And by the end of this year, I'll have every community in Northumberland County cataloged. And
Don't forget Wacomico.
I'm sorry?
Wacomico.
Yes, Wacomico for sure. Last October, I took this picture, plus about 75 other places in the Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, and over as far as Richmond and Lake Anna. So I always like to show these to the boards and see if there might be any interest in a copy for your walls.
Okay.
If I would have had better juggling skills, I would have brought the whole collection, but I did bring cards, which you all can.
All right. Yes, please.
Themselves and see the entire collection on the website. That shows prices and sizes. This size, for example, is $195 with the frame. I have them from 16 by 20 for $95 up to 27 by 40 for $295. And
all right. Would you like to give your website?
Yep. The website is americafromthesky.com. It's also my name, gregcromer.com, will get you there as well. And if you really want to shorten it, pilotgreg.com will get you. Try to come up with a lot of different angles. But thank you for your,
All right,
for your
and if
time.
you have any extra of these, leave them on the table
I'll
right
leave
there
some
to have
business
everybody
cards out
pick
on the
up.
table, and if you all have any questions?
Any questions? Any questions for Mr. Cromer?
Not at this time.
And at this time, I'm going to be working in the area again this year, so if there are any special needs for aerial work, whether it be site progress, construction, or just, there's a pretty place that you think I should shoot,
Okay.
feel free to send me an email.
Do you ever consider taking aerial pictures of our menhaden industry out over the bay?
I can photograph everything. Mainly, I'm aiming at towns, colleges, and scenic attractions.
I
So,
think that might be of some interest. What do you think, Chip?
Absolutely.
can you send me that information?
Yes, yes, I'll do that.
Any other questions?
Any other questions, gentlemen?
The collection's up to about 5,000 places across 32 states. It's
Okay.
a little heavy to carry around. I invite you to fly along with me and hit the website at your leisure.
All right, I will definitely look up your website, see what you have on there.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
sir. All right, our next person to speak is Mark Downing. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing? I was just coming back to speak about the changing of the ordinance for coyotes, foxes, and bobcats that we talked about, I think it was 2 meetings ago. So I changed the rifle law, and I wanted to change it so that it would state that I was able to hunt coyotes and foxes and bobcats with a caliber larger than .22 during the general firearm season.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just coming back to, because I missed the last meeting, I wasn't able to be here.
All right. Mr. Tadlock? Comment on that, please, sir.
Yes, sir. We had provided, staff had provided, with consultation with legal counsel, the draft language. And at the time, the board had reviewed it, but didn't proceed forward with
No, we haven't.
anything further with it at this time.
And repeat for everybody again what you are looking for, so, because a lot of people have not heard it.
So right now, the ordinance states that during the general firearm season or deer season, that you can't hunt groundhogs or
Yes.
predators, foxes, bobcats, coyotes, with a caliber larger than .22. Now that the rifle law has been passed for deer season, I was just trying to see if we could get it also changed to state that I'm allowed to use a rifle larger than .22 for predator hunting as well.
All right. Gentlemen, would you like to put that back on the agenda again?
I've got
Or-
a question.
or
So
questions?
if you were hunting those animals, would you be against doing it out of a stand like you would have to be currently to hunt deer with a rifle?
Yeah, because I'm doing everything at nighttime. There's no daytime hunting, so I'm not hunting while any other hunters are out, unless somebody else is predator hunting. But we also know, of course, we've got to have the permission from all landowners as well. Generally we hunt, field areas towards wooded areas, stuff like that. It's, any other time other than deer season, it's legal in the ordinance. So since it was just added that, you can do the rifle hunting for deer, I'm just wondering if that could be changed over to that. Because ethical wise, it's not really ethical to shoot a coyote with a .22 caliber bullet, because it's just going to run off and be harmed, and that's about it.
What is your weapon of choice?
I have several. I'm a precision rifle manufacturer. I own Night Stalker Precision LLC.
Caliber-wise, when you're hunting,
So that it states .22 rimfire. I use a .22 Creedmoor, which is a centerfire rifle. But as far as bullet-wise, they're high fragmenting bullets. So that if I'm in a field and I hit a cornstalk, the bullet's going to fragment and it's not going to go anywhere. It's designed exactly for the light pelts and stuff of a predator, versus like a higher power rifle for a deer. So it's still a .22 caliber bullet. It's meant to fragment upon impact.
I got a suggestion. I think for those that are not familiar with how they predator hunt at nighttime, I think it's a little bit of a misconception. I think some people think that they're out there with a rifle. And it's a little more to it. I think it would be very helpful if Mr. Downing would be willing to do this. Other than bringing his rifle in, I don't think that would be allowed in here, but bring the technology that he's using and set it up and show the board the process and what's been invested in doing this and how safe this process is. Because they're not just looking down the barrel of a rifle at nighttime, aiming it at a fox or coyote. It's other technology involved. And it's a whole lot safer than you think it is. I didn't know anything about how the bullets were set up.
Yeah.
But
I can speak a little bit about that if you want. I mean, we use thermal technology, so I mean, it detects heat. And I mean, I can see everything. I mean, I can see, little differences in heat in houses and trees and so, I mean, we can see everything that we're hunting at nighttime. I mean, it can be pitch black dark, and I can see for a mile. And we also use suppressors. I'm a Class 3 dealer as well, and so we're not waking neighbors and scaring people and stuff like that. I mean, I've hunted and killed 3 or 4 coyotes in people's backyards and sent them a picture, and they're like, "When did you do that? Last night?" I was like, "No, like 10 minutes ago." So it's I mean, I've been doing this for probably 12 years now. And there's never been any kind of incidents or complaints or anything. It's just, trying to be able to provide for the people that, call and have these issues with the coyotes and foxes. And starting to have some bobcats, but there's not as many of them.
so the aiming of the rifle, it's on a tripod, right?
Yeah, we're standing on a tripod, so I'm standing here just like this.
And
The rifle's
you
mounted on a
have-
tripod. So, I mean, generally, you're still shooting at a downward angle anyway.
But
So I'm not
you're actually looking at a screen?
Yeah, it's
When you know you got that coyote
it's a
across-
digital image.
Right.
And I mean, I can see, with all the focuses and stuff, I mean, I can see the hairs on the animal. I can see the differences in its paws and its tails and its nose. I can see the difference between a domestic dog and a coyote, or a cat and a bobcat, either or. I mean, it's very expensive, but it's very good technology. So yeah, I'm not just shining a light at something that I see and, in hunting and shooting at something I'm not really sure what it is.
So you're looking to do something that you can do any other time in the county?
Right.
Except for when general firearms.
General
is on.
firearms season, and it's, since now that it's, the rifle has been approved, I was just looking to add in so that, this is legal during that 2 months phase.
That's pretty much the peak time of predator hunting at the same time.
Yeah, it's right before breeding season, so it's, to put it in perspective, since November 1, we've killed 59 coyotes here in the Northern Neck. So, they're plentiful. I get calls weekly over it.
I hear them every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just one.
Oh, no.
It's a pack of
Well, especially now. They're,
Now, are you interested in increasing the caliber, or,
yes, sir.
to what?
To just basically like just what it is before general firearms season, which is, it's pretty much, it's any caliber, but it's greater than .22 rimfire.
All right. And what would probably be your caliber of your favorite choice?
Either, like I say, I'm shooting a kind of a custom load, which is a .22 Creedmoor or a 6.5 Creedmoor. I use that a lot too. But it's anything larger than a .23 calibers, which is generally stated. But, the bullets that I use are not meant for bigger game or long distance shooting. They're meant to do exactly what they do and stop where they're at.
Yeah.
Same thing with ricochets and stuff like that. That's not the bullet hits anything, it disintegrates. You can see it in my scope if I hit a tree limb. It's just.
What would we have to do to change that if we were to have to be advertised?
That's correct. Just look at the language that was provided, make sure that covers what the board is looking to do. That would have to be advertised for a public hearing before any adoption is done.
Two things I would like. I wouldn't have any trouble with the way this gentleman, I know him personally, and the way he hunts, he's professional. He uses professional equipment. He talks about the neighbors. He talks about domestic animals. I'm wondering if all hunters will be as courteous as he is, so to speak. We've got to look at that, too.
That's no different than someone rabbit hunting,
Yeah, well,
deer hunting,
That's right. We get,
coyote hunting, groundhog hunting.
Yeah, it's all in the landowner giving permission, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, the landowner should trust whoever's on their property, you know, it's the way I feel, I mean,
How many others are doing the same thing that you're doing,
I would say
or something similar to it?
that I know of that are doing it, not quite to my scale, but I would say, there's probably 3 or 4 other people doing it across.
do you know of any hunt clubs involved into it?
No, we do a lot of hunting for the hunt clubs, to help them out, but I don't know of any. I think there's a hunt club in Wycomico Church that runs dogs for coyotes, but I don't know of any hunt club that does any actual predator hunting, like we do anyway.
Like to see us, what was that, Jimmy?
I just thought maybe it would be good for the board members to see the technology that he's using. I mean, I think it's, even for some of the citizens, it's a little bit of a misconception on how they actually predator hunting. I don't think they really understand the money that's been put into this and the technology that's going into it. I think you've even told me one time before you go on a hunt, you actually look at the maps and decide where you're going to shoot, where the homes are located.
Oh, absolutely.
So you do like a
Yeah, it's
pre-plan
all, everything
before
is
you
on my
hunt.
phone. I've got a Google Earth image of every place we hunt.
And I just think it would be a good learning
Is it possible for
opportunity.
you to set something up?
Oh, absolutely. I've actually went out and I actually helped the sheriff's department scan for a missing person one night with one of our scanners, and I've actually sold Westmoreland County a thermal scanner to use with their sheriff department. I have a meeting set up with them to run over how to work everything and all that. I think next week, I think. So it's, I mean, it's pretty awesome technology.
I'd like for something to be set up and you present it to us, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Something we could do next month?
Yeah, next month.
We can put it on the agenda, we'd have
Yeah.
to have a motion to advertise.
Could we give Mr. Tadlock time to get the language straight, and then
Yeah, or-
maybe
Yeah,
at
I
that
was
time?
talking about the presentation.
Presentations,
Yeah.
all right,
Presentation.
we could do the presentation
Go
next
ahead and
month,
do
no
the
problem.
presentation, right.
And
And
Mr.
then
Tadlock can work on the language.
And then potentially vote to advertise it at our next
It's
meeting?
basically over for this year anyway, we'll have it fixed up for
Right, I was
next
just,
year.
yeah, I'm just preparing for, for next year. They might give me a little bit of leeway for next month, as some of y'all know, I'll be planting corn at, probably the first, second week of, starting in April of next. But it'll be, we'll need to be an outside setting. I mean, you can see the stuff in here, but you really, if you want to see how well it works, just even we'll walk outside the building or whatever, would be the best way.
Is that what the board still wants to do?
Home day.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what the length of the demonstration would be. Is that something that you would rather do at a special called meeting versus at a regular meeting?
I think that would probably be better.
That would be fine.
If we do it on a special call meeting, because, we have a certain agenda we're trying to follow.
Right.
And I don't know how long it would take you to do it, and I don't want to cut you short on your time.
It wouldn't take long. I mean, once you saw, honestly, if you wanted to come, I have some local property up here right in Heatsfield that I own. If y'all wanted to come there, I could set my rifle up and y'all could look through it and be unloaded, of course, but, you could see everything that I see. It's
We either
pretty
do that, or
eye-opening.
we can take a time and the board members can reach out to Mr. Dine and then just meet with him one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I have handheld units too, like with no
You good
weapon
with that,
attached
Mr.
too.
Long? If you want to see that? Let's do it that way then. Then that way we're not, I just think if you're interested in the technology of it and you want a better understanding of what they do, you need to see what they're doing.
What's your contact number?
804
04?
366 1598.
1598?
Yes, sir.
All right, that pleasure of the board?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. All right, next person on the sign-up sheet is Tom Jeffries.
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening, Mr. Jeffries.
So, yes, I'm Tom Jeffries. I'm the chairman of the Northern Neck Patriots, and one of our efforts has been to support and advocate for Americans who we believe were wrongfully incarcerated for their participation in a rally at the Capitol. And whether you agree with that stance or not, their right to due process was violated, which is why they were pardoned by the president. There were 60-plus individuals who spent time at our Northern Neck Regional Jail. And over the last 3 years, I've learned a lot about our jail and about how our criminal justice system in this country works. So from a high level, the U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the world, by far, 664 per 100,000. Surprisingly, Virginia's incarceration rate is even higher than the U.S. average at 749 per 100,000. Black folk represent around 58% of those incarcerated, even though they only make up less than 15% of the population. In Virginia, we have around 60,000 people incarcerated, and 24,000 of those are in local and regional jails. And this is per a 2023 report from the Prison Policy Initiative. As of 2014, there were more than 1.5 million Americans incarcerated in state and federal prisons, and that figure had quintupled since 1980. When you add jails, that number rises to 2.2 million people. 1 in 3 U.S. adults has been arrested by the age of 23, and some have some type of a criminal record. The above is based on 2014 data published by the Center for American Progress. As old as that data is, it is safe to say that the U.S. is the incarceration nation. So let's bring it back down to the local level. Northern Neck Regional Jail, built around 1995 and later expanded. Capacity is approximately 500 beds. The average census, which is occupancy rate, is 410 total over the last 8 months. That breakdown by county was Northumberland, average of 15, Richmond County 17, Westmoreland County 52, Gloucester 96, and federal inmates 224, well over half of the total census. Our jail employs approximately 100 people. However, the turnover rate, especially of corrections officers, known as COs or guards, is very high. Often 4 to 5 of them wash out or quit every month. You've likely seen the now hiring signs all around the county. And I won't go into the stories of alleged mistreatment there tonight, but suffice it to say, it must be a very tough place to work and to go into every day. I want to turn to the financials for a minute. I'm no expert, but I am a good listener. Several jail board meetings ago, the jail superintendent referred to the fiscal year 2023 jail cost report. So I looked it up. The previous superintendent loved to tout the financial performance of the jail. Per this report, the average operating cost per inmate per day in all local and regional jails is $145 per day. Our jail, Northern Neck Regional Jail's cost is $75 per day. So either they're highly, highly efficient, or they spend the very bare minimum on their inmates. And I believe it's the latter, based upon the reports from prisoners I've received. So even though our jail has one of the lowest operating costs, it is the absolute highest recipient of federal funds at 50.39%. No other jail comes close to that. So think back to that federal inmate number that I mentioned. More than half of the inmates are federal prisoners. Why? Why do local counties with less than 24 prisoners per month need to participate in this jail? Why are we mixing our local citizens in with federal gang members, murderers, rapists, and worse? That's enough for tonight, but thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffers. All right, I have no one else on the sign-up sheet. Would anyone else like to speak? Would anyone else like to speak in the public comment period? All right, would anyone that's online tonight like to speak? Anyone that's online tonight like to speak in the public comment period? Anyone online would like to speak tonight? All right, since you don't have anyone else that wants to speak tonight, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, make one suggestion. Our next item is to convene in the closed meeting. Let's move that to after our public hearings. All right, public hearings tonight. We have our first one is a request by Kevin L. Brown for a conditional use permit. Mr. Marston?
Yes, sir. We have a request by Kevin L. Brown, owner, for a conditional use permit to allow construction of a multi-unit dwelling on property zoned A1 agriculture. The property is shown as tax map parcel 6-1-5H and is located on Lone Walnut Road.
All right, Mr. Brown, would you like to say something, sir?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I hope you guys are doing well. Just a little background here. I own the other 4-unit building that's on Lone Walnut Road. I purchased in 2023. I've given opportunities to low-income individuals to not work with the Virginia Housing Authority to find housing. And while doing so, I was informed that if I had anything else available, to let them know because they need housing pretty bad. So with that being said, I saw a parcel of land available directly behind the 4-unit that I own, which we're speaking of tonight. And after looking into it, I saw that it was previously set up, I guess, through the health department, they being approved for like a 3-unit building being there. So given that, I decided to go forward and attempt to build a 4-unit there. So here we are. So just to say, we're gonna have drawings here, the drawings that you guys may have seen, illustrative purposes, just to show you what it will potentially look like. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money and then it not be approved, so I kind of put these together so it kind of gives you an illustration of what the possible project or the proposed build would look like. And yeah, everything's not accurate there. We know we will go through the health department to get, make sure there's the correct sewage system. They'll have a backup system. They'll have a parking spaces in front. There'll also be a driveway. So those are things just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of. It's just not out. If approved, I'll go through the proper channels, get everything drawn out. We go through all the proper protocol and get the approvals that are necessary. So one thing you're going to hear from the planning meeting I was in a couple of weeks ago is that, there's a lot of concern. I don't necessarily know that these are proven facts, right? Some are based on issues with the property that I currently own, but it was before I owned it. It's like I said, I purchased in 2023, haven't had any issues there. I vet my people. I do thorough background checks. We do criminal checks as well. And I have a property manager that checks on the property as well. And if I need to get somebody to do anything, we'll get repairs done there. Some other things that you'll hear here, I'm just want to propose because my solutions to these arguments are that there could possibly be up to 24 people in this lot, because I'm proposing a four-unit, 3-bedroom, 1-bath in each unit. That would not be the case here, up to 24 people. Maybe there would be 16 or at most, because I'm going through, if I'm with Virginia Housing, generally there's not a male in the house. There's a mother and there's kids. So there would be a mother and most likely 2 to 3 kids in there. So there wouldn't be 20-something people on the property. Another issue you may hear about is safety concerns. As I mentioned, things that may have happened in the building that I currently own do not exist at the moment. I've never had those problems since I purchased. I've heard from the tenant, one of my long-term tenants there, is that the previous owner just did not maintain the property, they didn't care, he was just basically a slumlord. That's not who I am. And for security measures, I'm willing to install cameras there. And those cameras can be linked, if possible, to the Northumberland County Police Department if they have that capability. Because I have a building in DC that I do that with. It's linked into the Washington, DC Metropolitan Police Department. So we could kind of eliminate any safety concerns or criminal activity that anyone's concerned with. As far as it being, and I'm just going over some of the things you may see because I want to be able to talk to them to have a solution. Some say it's an eyesore. I'm actually proposing to do like the neighbor across the road has done. They've put up hedges that blocks in their entire home. I can do the same thing so that it won't be exposed. You won't really even see it from the road unless you drive into the property. Some individuals said they weren't notified. I mean, I did what I was supposed to do on the documents and provided everything that said list your adjoining neighbors and the names and the addresses. I did so. Some neighbors may be a mile away. It's not within the current protocol, so that wasn't done. And I've also seen the conditions set forth by I think it was building committee, where it's like 5 different conditions, those you have there. Well, it's just 6 conditions that came from the planning committee. I have no objections to any of those. I can make sure that those are done. No problems meeting those conditions at all. But lastly, just wanted to say in closing, we should have a legal and procedural fairness, right? Allowing unverified concerns, such as like property values decreasing, crime, etc., to block development, sets a precedence for arbitrary decision-making, which could hinder future property development. Like I said, I'm looking to build and looking to help. I actually just purchased another duplex in Warsaw last week. And I'm helping with affordable housing there as well. We should eliminate unfounded bias. The argument that may be rooted in personal bias rather than fact. Opposition to the multifamily housing is sometimes linked to these misconceptions, or maybe they ran across people that may have been slumlords in the past, but these aren't proven. So someone would have a misconception about low income or lower income residents, which could be unfair and discriminatory. Lastly, unless concrete evidence of the crime exists, rejecting this multifamily based on fear rather than facts seems unjust. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brown, how long have you owned your other property here?
I've owned it since 2023.
2023, okay. And this proposed project, I see you have your septic fields, you have your parking area, but where is your reserve site going to be?
For septic?
Septic
Yeah,
reserve site.
I can work to get that done. I know I couldn't submit another one because this was the one that was under review. So I can ensure that that's done when we go through Virginia, the health, administration that has to approve that. And I know, if it's not space for it, I know it won't be approved. But I will definitely work with them to get that done.
All right. And I see you have 4 apartments. Do you have to have 4 apartments or what?
It doesn't have to be 4. I can go down to 3 if it satisfies everyone.
All right. Any other board members have any questions, comments? Not.
I see where you talking about cameras. Are you expecting to have problems, to have those cameras up there?
No, but some neighbors had concerns about it being crying. So I'm willing to just put up cameras as a deterrent. 'Cause like I said, I have some in DC and I'm linked to the police station so they can kind of access them. So that was the only reason I proposed cameras.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, board members?
Who recommends three apartments to the four?
You said who recommended? The planning committee is asked if I was, or planning board asked if I was willing to have lesser units, and I said, yeah, 3 would be fine as well.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, gentlemen, before we open the public hearing? Mr. Brown, let me open the public hearing, and then we'll get back to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. Open the public hearing on this. The first one I have to sign up is Patsy Self. You're not going to say anything, Patsy? All right. Next one is Connie Jones.
Hello, my name is Connie Jones. I live at 1100 Lone Walnut Road. I live down the road where down the road, there's already the apartments that's there. Now, Mr. Brown is saying that he hasn't had any incidents there. There was an incident there last week, and you can check with the sheriff's department on that. My concern is I have lived there since the 1980s. It's been very quiet. We've had no problems, no stealing. Not that there will be any, I don't know. But you're talking about 4 more units, 3 more units, 20 more people. And, you know, he also is saying that, you know, it will be for, you know, mothers and their children. Well, what I have seen in the past, and again, I'm just speculating here, the daddies always come on the weekends. If you watch the apartments that are there now, there's not many there during the week. On the weekend, it's packed. I have 2 young children who are 8 years old, 2 twin girls. I don't want to worry about my children playing out in the yard, somebody coming through the woods, snatching them. I don't want to have that worry. I haven't had it since the 1980s, and I don't want it now. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Next person is Thomas Jones.
I think she said the same thing that I was saying.
All right, Mr. Jones. Melissa Lewis.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Melissa Lewis. I live at 1150 Lone Walnut. We bought our property in 1988. We built in 1997. We chose the area because it is only single-family people living there. When the first building went up, we did not even know that that was going to be that. Everyone on that road at that time thought that that was just going to be another single family. And then we saw the 4 doors, and we realized what it was going to be. And there was nothing we could do about it. It was already approved, and there it was. At this time, well, we wasn't notified because we were not adjoining to that property, so we found out from another person that this was going to happen. So we do not want that up there. We have enjoyed, I've raised 2 children, I have 5 grandchildren, I have 2 nieces. I mean, we enjoy having that single family living. We're talking about a road that is less than a mile long. And every person, and as you know, there is a petition that we had, and every person, except for 2 people because they were not home when we went around to get the petition to oppose this, every person signed that lives on that road. Because you're talking about not just that unit that he wants to build, but there is an existing unit. So that is a possible, he says like 24 people, Well, you got to add in the people that's already there from the first unit. So in there, you put that many people in one little lone area, there is nothing for anyone to do. It takes us 12 minutes to get to a Dollar General. And we just don't feel like that is the proper place for this new unit, this unit that Mr. Brown wants to do. That's about all I have to say. And there have been units in the incidents in the past. You can check with Northumberland County Sheriff's Department. There has been issues with law enforcement there. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Mr. Tedlock, where is that petition?
Steve. Oh, it was in the,
It should be in your board docs.
yeah, it's in board docs on administrative content.
Administrative, okay.
All right, next person, I'm sorry, but is it Manley or? I just can't make it out. I'm sorry. Can't make that one out either. I know it starts with it starts with a L.
It's you. M and L?
It has an L and looks like it might be an I and a B.
Martha Lamb?
Martha Lamb, all right. All right.
That's who I am.
All right.
I don't recognize anybody from the last meeting, am I correct? I mean, this is a different...
No, this is a different board.
Okay, so it's going to be Martha 2 times, because I'm going to say what I said the last time. This apartment that Mr. Brown has purchased is on the left corner of Gibeon Road and Lone Walnut. We purchased 18 years ago the right corner, a home place 18 years ago, and we have 5 acres. We saw the apartments, you know, we didn't think anything of it because we fell in love with our house. We're on the corner. We're right in the front of Gibeon, and Lone Walnut goes, you know, in between the apartment and us. We planted trees. I think somebody mentioned that. And the reason we planted trees is because our vision was an apartment building. And anybody could just walk across the street. We're sitting on the porch, having a cup of coffee, and we didn't want to see it. So we planted, I didn't, my husband planted by hand every single tree. There have been problems at the apartments. You hear screaming and yelling. I can't see it, but I can hear it. Just a couple nights ago or days ago, there's a guy out on the corner screaming at the apartments. You know, I don't know what the heck he was doing from what I hear because I don't have the police report, but supposedly he broke into across from Gibeon Church. That property, I believe, tried to break into a truck. And his fist, I guess, was bleeding, which is why he was, you know, acting like he was on crack, but whatever. If he had seen me walking on my property, he would have maybe come over to me. You know, I don't need that. Find out he's bleeding, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if he got arrested. I don't have the police report, okay? This is the back. All right, so Gibeon Road is in the front. The neighbors on my right that live right next door to me never got notified. We got notified because we're right next, you know, right across the street. A lady who built a brand new house had no idea, and she just bought that house about 2 years ago to live next to her parents, who lived next to her. Then across the street, a girl, Celia, I forget her last name, she didn't get notified. So we figured this out, and our best friends live at the end of Lone Walnut, the blonde Melissa Lewis, who's here last. They live at the end of Lone Walnut. Connie is the sister-in-law, lives down there also. They never got notified. So we started thinking, what, my sister-in-law, she's sitting right there, raise your hand. She lives two houses behind us. She bought an acre, put a house there. She never got notified. Behind our house, again, next to Susan, in between us, my mother-in-law moved there, and we moved in 2007, 18 years ago. 2008, we purchased a property, an acre, for my mother-in-law, who lived there until she passed at 96. People that own that house were not notified. They're going to be looking at it. Now, we put messages, in mailboxes to inform people. I don't mean to stare at anybody. I really don't. I just need to focus. Just to let everybody know, Lone Walnut is a dead-end road. Everybody has to come in that road and pass the apartment. We fell in love with the house. It has an old barn. It's a beautiful house, okay? That's what we fell in love with. The apartments, like I said, we blocked them out. Now, the apartments are going to be, here's my house, here's the street, and the apartments are going to be right here. I have a swimming pool right here. My barn is facing Lone Walnut. My husband caught a guy with a gas can. He's going to steal gas because there's 4 stalls that used to have horses in them, but it faces Lone Walnut. He had to build his own, he built the doors himself, okay? Gave the guy some money. He's going to steal our gas, all right? We can't see the barn from where we live. So secure, that's what we did. So this apartment's going to be like right there all summer. I'm going to be in my pool, and I'm going to hear every footstep that goes on. It's zoned for agriculture for a home, one family home, which is every house on the block.
Ms. Lamb, your time is up, so.
Oh, I didn't know I had time.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right, this is just a picture of the back of the apartments from this morning. And it's garbage in the back, and this is where the new apartments are going to be. There's garbage, you can see crows, so it's not
right.
just cardboard.
Okay.
Anyway, we got signatures from everybody on the block. They're all
All right.
opposed to it. I thank you for your
Thank you, Ms.
your
Lamb.
time.
All right, next person is Robert, starts with W. Sir? Woods, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Good, how are you? All right, I'm opposed to the building of these new units. When we moved down from New York when I retired. We looked all through Delmarva. Then we saw this parcel online, and it was a centrally located home on a 5-acre parcel. We fell in love with it. When we were over in Delmarva, there was no zoning. You could see that they just did not, the counties did not take the care to protect the areas that were single-family homes. And it was a mishmash. And it was something you really didn't want to get involved in, either socially or economically. There's a value to certain areas being designated for certain uses. And we depend on you to protect us. And in this situation here, we feel at risk. And I have to say, it's concerning, you know. As far as cameras go, cameras just record an occurrence. They don't deter an occurrence. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, I have no one else on the sign-up sheet. Would anyone else like to speak? Anyone else like to speak on this issue? Come on up, ma'am.
I didn't expect, my name is Susan Awe. Last name is A-W-E. I did not expect to speak, but I feel that I must speak in support of my neighbors. I've been on Lone Walnut for 13 years. I was lucky enough to be able to buy an acre of land right next to my mother's home. She moved there. She moved there shortly after my brother did. My brother is on the corner. My mom, she was in the next, my mom, Gary was on the corner. There's an easement, then there was my mother's property, and then we were able to buy from the same landowner, and because he liked the idea of me wanting to live next to my mother. That's the kind of neighborhood it is. It's a friendly, respectful neighborhood. People are there to help you if you need help, but they're not there to intrude or to create problems. You know, I come from New York. I come from Long Island. There are areas of Long Island that you would not want to drive through because of the difficulties in the neighborhoods there. Really would not want, I mean, as much as Mr. Brown, a very fine gentleman, I'm sure, as much as he is trying to be helpful and to be truthful for his own benefit as well, I'm sure that he would like to believe that his apartment complex will be quiet and serene and peaceful. But I just think that having an apartment complex on the corner and then turning down our road, seeing a second apartment complex, and if anybody down the road is trying to sell their house, you know, whoever might be interested in buying is just going to look at the area and say, you know, are they going to put another apartment complex in the next acre that they sell? So it's just trying to maintain a calm, peaceful existence. The neighborhood is an old neighborhood. I mean, the farms have been there forever. You know, the houses that are there have been sold off. I mean, or they're on acres that have been sold off by the farmers for one reason or another. So I see that your name, Mr. Brand. My brother bought one of the Brand home places. So, I mean, it's an old name, it's an old family. And I think that excuse me, I'm nervous. I think that the tradition where we come from, my brother and I and Martha, you don't see that kind of tradition. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a very admirable thing. You know, people respect one another. And I just feel that there has to be another place where this apartment complex could be located. Truthfully, I hope that the government, as an aside, I hope that the government even continues to fund programs such as low-income housing. But, you know, with the way things are going, we don't know. So anyway, thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
All right, I have no one else on the sign-up sheet. Would anyone else like to speak? All right, anyone else want to speak? All right, would anyone that's online tonight like to speak about Mr. Brown's issue? Anyone that's online tonight like to speak about Mr. Brown's issue? All right. All right, since no one wants to speak, I'll close the public hearing. The matter is before the board.
What are the conditions?
Mr. Marston, would you read the conditions? I know they're posted up there, but would you read them, sir?
Yes, sir. Suggested conditions, if approved, are that all required permits and/or licenses shall be obtained from all appropriate regulatory agencies, including but not limited to Virginia Department of Transportation and Virginia Department of Health. An erosion and sediment control plan and a stormwater management plan shall be prepared and approved by all appropriate regulatory agencies. Any proposed lighting shall be non-reflective and directed downward to prevent any glare on Lone Walnut Road and adjoining properties. There shall be at least 2 parking spaces provided for each apartment. Vegetative screening shall be established with the intent to screen the properties across Lone Walnut Road. And non-compliance of any of these conditions shall result in this permit to come back before the Board of Supervisors for possible revocation.
All right, Mr. Marston, what was the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
That was the vegetative screening.
All right, but what was their overall recommendation on the project?
The recommendation to the board was a vote to deny.
To deny it. I know it was a lot of conversation on there because I was there I wasn't in person. I was listening because I didn't get her to class in time. But there was a lot of opposition to it. All right.
You had 2 that was for, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. What's the pleasure of the board? Any comments from the board? You have any questions for Mr. Brown? Or Mr. Brown, do you have another statement you'd like to say?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the board then?
This motion is made due to consideration of public health and safety and general welfare of the community, public necessity, convenience, and the exercise of good zoning practices pursuant to the body's statutory authority that this conditional use permit not be approved.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I got a motion and a second. Got any other discussion now?
Well, I would like to say to Mr. Brown that I am going to vote to deny the project. However, I would like to see you potentially find another parcel of land in the county and come back to us with that because we badly need housing in the county. But with the amount of opposition to the project, I cannot with a good conscience vote in favor of it at this time. So,
All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Hey.
All right. Motion passes 4-1. Sorry, Mr. Brown. All right. Our next item is the amendment. It's to consider amending the Northumberland County Code. Mr. Tadlock?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Next public hearing is to consider amending the Northumberland County Code, Chapter 68, Fee Schedule, 68-1, Schedule of Permit and Other Fees. The proposed amendment would allow the Northumberland County Board of Supervisors to adopt by resolution the fee schedule on an annual basis and to modify such fee schedule at any time during the fiscal year to cover costs. There was one slight modification as we were going through the fee schedule. All of the fees within that could be conducted as by resolution. However, the court security fee by Code of Virginia does require it to remain part of an ordinance. So that one would remain part of that 68-1, and we listed it as A, court fees, but the rest of the fees would be conducted as resolution. So the court fees would still require a public hearing to modify that particular fee.
All right. Any questions for the board before I open the public hearing? All right. Open the public hearing. I have no one on the sign-up sheet. Would anyone like to speak? Anyone like to speak? All right, would anyone that's online tonight like to speak? Anyone that's online like to speak? All right, I'll close the public hearing, the matters before the board. What's the board's pleasure?
I move to approve the amendment.
I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. Mr. Tadlock, you have another amendment, budget amendment?
Yes, sir. The next public hearing is to consider an amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget. This budget amendment is for the purpose of budgeting, appropriating monies for grants, reimbursements, additional personnel, auditing costs, opioid settlement monies, sheriff's office, and emergency services. The total budget amendment is $3,442,845.58. In your packet, you do have a breakdown of those fees, or those appropriations, excuse me, as to whether they were coming out from the general fund, whether they were reimbursement grants from the comp board, transfers, and so forth.
All right. Gentlemen, you have any questions?
This is before us tonight because the total of those appropriations reached 1% of our total budget, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
But they're appropriations that we've already approved.
All of these are appropriations that the board has already considered. That is correct.
All right. Any questions, gentlemen? If not, I'll open the public hearing. I have no one on the sign-up sheet. Would anyone like to speak? Anyone like to speak? All right. Would anyone that's online tonight like to speak? Would anyone that's online like to speak? No one? All right. Close the public hearing and the matter is before the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? All right. Tadlock, you don't have anything else?
No, sir.
We have nothing else on the agenda tonight except to convene into a closed meeting. And I will entertain a motion to convene into a closed meeting.
I need a motion that the Northumberland County Board of Supervisors convene in closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Section 2.2, 3711A1, for the discussion and consideration of personnel matters. Section 2.2, 3711A3, for the discussion or consideration of the potential acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the potential disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the board's bargaining position or negotiating strategy. Section 2.2, 3711A8, for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Invited to attend the closed meeting as necessary are the county administrator, county attorney, and assistant county administrator, as they are deemed necessary, and their presence will reasonably aid the board in its consideration of the topics to be discussed pursuant to Virginia FOIA Section 2.2, 3712F.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to have a second?
Second.
All right. Have a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in a closed meeting. I thank you all for coming. You're welcome to wait and come back after we come at a closed meeting.
Northumberland Board of Supervisors will return to public meeting and certify by roll call vote that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting, were heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting.
All right, have a motion?
Motion made.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Brand?
Aye.
Mr. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Haney, aye. All right, we need a motion to do increase in salary.
Yes, sir. That is for Mr. Eric Bugg passing his Class 4 wastewater exam for his licensing. Would be an increase to his salary of $1,961.84, and that would be effective February 1st, 2025.
All right, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? All right. Anything else, Mr. Tadlock?
Would you like to consider the ceiling, the additional ceiling repair tonight, or would you rather get the other quotes on that? And do it as one packet, or?
We under the amount?
We did receive the two estimates, one, and this is for the copy file room in the EVB bank. The Wilton estimate was $7,588, and the Connemara Corporation, let me get back to that email. $15,690.
Let's
Do
go
it all
with
at
the
one
other
time.
company.
Do it all at one time.
Yeah, do it all at one time.
All right, that's up to the board, that we can get the other quotes. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Board want to wait or proceed?
I'll be about off to get the quotes to do it
All right,
all.
we'll just wait. All right,
But make sure, yeah,
yeah,
unless, that way we take it on works.
yep. All right. Y'all want to stay open or you want to go home?
Is the school bus yellow?
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Have a good night, Mr. Greg.
Mr. Greger, have a safe one.
We're gonna have a special meeting coming up.